Raj Janakam, who would be the speaker for our session today on the topic outreach, marketing, PR strategies for the incubators. Uh, Mr. Raj?
Yes, hi Arvind.
Hi, Raj. So, Raj is the CEO of AIC Triviality Hyderabad Foundation. So, over to you, Raj. You can introduce yourself in 2 minutes, and later you can start sharing your screen, and
All
we are
right.
good to go. Over to
Sure.
you.
Okay, thank you. That was a very kind introduction. And hello, everyone. Very happy to be here. And I could see some familiar faces, so I feel very old in the sector already. But I'm very happy that I'm able to share some of the knowledge that I've gained as well as the insights of being in the sector. So my name is Raj Janagam, and I work as the Chief Executive Officer of Atal Incubation Center based out of Triple IT Hyderabad. So we're called as AIC Triple ITH Foundation. And our goal is to find, fund, and support early stage startups who are working on social issues and support them through our incubation activities. And I'll define more and more about the organization. But very quickly about me, I have always been a development professional. It's been 10 years, and I've dabbled different roles, right from that of an activist to a research student to a social entrepreneur myself. So I've run 3 companies before I got into the space of supporting entrepreneurs. And I continue to do that through incubators and accelerators in last 5 years. Before founding the Atal Incubation Center, I founded the Surge Impact Foundation, which is the go-to place for social change professionals in state of Telangana. Before that, I've also started Unlimited Hyderabad, which is part of the Unlimited family worldwide. And we were doing similar activities there as well. So that's a little bit. Otherwise, also, I do advise the government of Telangana on the corporate social responsibility, as well as I do advise the global shapers through their headquarters, which is supported by the World Economic Forum on matters of governance and accountability. I'm very happy to be sharing my session with you all today, and I'll try to do the screen share and hope you all can see that right now. To the presentation mode. 1 second. Yep, it started from the end. Okay, in case if you are not able to see it, give me a heads up, but I'm hoping there are no issues and everyone
We
can
can see
see it.
Raj.
All right, great,
Thank
thank you. So yes, the topic was the outreach PR marketing strategies, and I'm quite happy and comfortable with the topic as well, because this is something which is always exciting, is outside the core activities of an incubator in terms of when it comes to interfacing with the startups, but yet is one of the most important functions of an incubator, and we'll discuss why. As mentioned, AIC IIITH, it's really bringing together 2 important things, technology and social impact. Technology because of IIIT Hyderabad. It's a tech institute and it's known for a lot of its research and other operational projects. But AIC is comprised of team which is specialized in social impact through different areas, from the research to even publishing to actual execution, social work, and corporate investment backed people. And what we, as I've already said, we find, fund, and support social entrepreneurs who are very early stage. We do give grants from the Niti Aayog as well as external capital that we raise. But most important function, and this is where all incubators, and I guess by far in your trainings so far, you would have also figured the 2 important jobs of an incubator is to find the validation among the business models of a startup. That is the role of an incubator, and also hence make these startups investable. Now, these are our core offerings, and I'm sure a lot of you would have done or heard about the business model canvas or customer canvas and many different tools which talk about the same thing. I won't get into that, but today what we're focusing is on the reaching out overall, right? Before we get into tools, tips, so I hope you all are carrying a pen and paper or somewhere to take notes. I'll be sharing quite a bit of resources, and as also Arvind said, even later on, I'm happy to take more questions and continue sharing. Even outside the session, I'm very happy to connect and happy to help out. Also, I won't be able to take the questions right away in the chat box. I won't be able to manage that, but I'll see it at the end if needed be. So very quickly, um, where does this whole issue about marketing start from, and why do we need to do, and all of that existential questions in marketing? Well, when you look at the textbook definitions, it's very boring, which is basically a set of activities that you do to promote awareness about your services to the target audience, the awareness about the solution and the problem that your target audience has. But that's a very boring thing. In a much more exciting way, to be honest, marketing and outreach or PR activities are basically everything to do with how loud you can get and how visible you can get in front of the audience, and that means all channels, online and offline. We'll discuss some of them today, but that is basically what marketing is for. But even before you jump into actually doing things, you would like to know, where does all of this lead to, and where does all of this come from? And that is where I would say that it's important for us to understand that marketing is a part of your overall strategy. If it was a business, there are hard calculations. For example, cost per acquisition, CACs, cost of acquisitions of customers, as well as then the lifetime value, which is LTV. So one simple way to put, so basically there is a cost for you to acquire your target audience, right? And here we'll be talking about different target audience, but also what is the value of when you acquire all these targeted audience, how long do they stay, what kind of value do they generate? So just a simple formula, but yet very important for all of you to keep note of. Simple ratio is 3:1. Your cost of acquiring a client should not be more than 3 times the value that it's less than 3 times the value that the entrepreneur brings or the client brings. In fact, before I'll repeat this, before I get there as well, remember there is a difference between customer and consumer, and I feel that those of you have not acknowledged it yet, you should. Basically what it means is a customer could be the one who's paying his money, time, and his skills, but a consumer may or may not be the same person. A consumer could be the person who's enjoying these things with or without paying for this. Sometimes in especially social impact space, it definitely is out there very differently, but otherwise as well you will find these differences as we go along in the space. For example, you may find your incubator to attract investors or donors who are your customers, but the consumers of your product and service that you deliver are your startups. I know I would be revealing a lot of buzzwords or the plot lines too soon into the session, so no suspense at the end. So giving out a lot of secrets of how we do as well very quickly. So we do treat the entrepreneurs who come as the consumers, but may not necessarily be those who will immediately pay or even end up paying at all, because also we are a grant run programs as well. So having that in mind, again coming back, if in case the customer is giving you a value, that should at least be more than 3 times that the money that you will spend to acquire that customer. So this is the basic fundamental of understanding marketing from a very business jargony perspective. And excuse me already for using jargons because I do have an MBA degree. So very quickly, we do start by defining the goals themselves, which is part of your business planning. And I hope all of you have done some or another business planning, which is at least 2 years into the future. And that business plan itself will have a huge section on marketing, PR, and outreach, and how will you do that. And because that will lead up to your goals. A couple of the other Atal incubation centers who are in the call will know that there are goals that you have sent to the Atal incubation mission team, and that team hence will have you to achieve that and also monitor that. Now your marketing goals need to align with your operational goals. So if you are going to attract 100 entrepreneurs in 3 years, your marketing goals would be to make that happen by, at least I would say, knowing the numbers these days, it's 10:1. So every 10 entrepreneurs reached, maybe one, and again that could be even more than that, maybe one will join the program. So knowing that is very important, and setting that is straight away is very important. But even before that, a lot of incubators, obviously, remember, incubators are wearing different hats, and it's not an easy job. You are actually doing much more complicated work than one startup or one usual commercial enterprise does. And hence you need to really understand if you have people with skill sets to do marketing, outreach, and PR. If you don't, do you have money to bring them on board? And either of this, that person or a set of team has the skills as well as time to do that. And I emphasize a lot on the time, because a lot of times what happens in our sector is we run great campaigns, but then we don't prioritize in continuous lead development, so we move away. That means we do not have that stamina to carry on, and that is very detrimental for your entire brand value when you're out there. The problem is that people only have recall value once they see you again and again over a period of time, which is one of the fundamentals of marketing. Now, if you are only visible during your events, if you're only visible when you do call for application, that is not going to help you get solid leads. And as an incubator, you would want to attract the best entrepreneurs out there, and hence you need to have that ability to project more frequently and better positioning of your brand itself. Now that stamina is very important. I would double say that, because a lot of us start something great, but we don't plan how the campaigns end or how the marketing events end, and hence it just tapers off. And that's not a good way how brands should be communicating online or offline. In terms of even reaching there, for us to assess, do we even have budgets? If we do not have budgets, again, do not expect to have a great marketing PR outreach. While it is easy to say, well, you can do innovative stuff, but everything needs money. Even the internet that you will be using for marketing activities is being paid by somebody. So you need to always calculate having such kind of investments and the stamina to keep going when you do this. And a couple of other things is, definitely you need to have great content. If you're not giving something new, something improved, or something that is useful, then you're not giving anything at all. And when I say frequently, it doesn't mean you just copy paste things. Definitely technology. Right now, marketing tech is actually ever evolving. There are newer and better products and services all the time, and hence it's very important for you that you keep yourself up to date and also are part of that technology and own such tech as well. And we'll discuss more about such technologies as we go. And remember, in our space, the marketing always happens when you collaborate with people. You amplify your reach. If you're not, you will be in a very limited silos, will not get, you'll sort of create your own echo chamber and not get the new leads, and hence there is an issue. um, so I won't get into details in this. These are lectured for our, we all been lectured on these 7 P's of marketing during our college or afterwards, right from Peter Drucker Saab to a lot of Indian marketing gurus these days. We keep talking about it, but very quickly to run through, remember, our product is an incubation program or an acceleration program. We are a service oriented sector or an industry. We also have a product and service as co-working spaces and other non-tangible value that we put out there. We do price, there is a price. Remember, even if you're running a free program where entrepreneurs do not need to pay, so hence their price would be their time and their availability physically to you for the number of meetings that you expect. Hence, you need to consider that as the fee, and hence be very, what's the word? And be very careful about using that. Definitely promotion. We'll talk more about this in detail, but where all do you promote? The places as well. What do you promote? Where do you promote? How do you package it itself? We'll talk all of these as we go. And definitely positioning, especially this is very important today because we do have a lot more incubators, right? Right now, everybody is opening up an incubator. Sometimes those coming from the investors, sometimes those coming from the business operations or startup point of view. And we'll talk about how do you position where you're coming from. And then lastly, definitely the people who are doing the marketing itself, which is a lot to do with the internal capacities. So here, giving away the major plot lines right away. Most important thing that we need to figure out is interface marketing. Again, this jargon simply means that you promote all your services in front of customers where they're hanging out. So where are the startups hanging out? So the most important question that I would ask you right in this whole presentation that you can think about, no need to answer me right now, is if you were an entrepreneur yourself who needs your services, where are you based as an entrepreneur? Are you based in a village, a town, or a city? And wherever you are based as an entrepreneur, what do you see around yourself? What are the different options that you would reach out to in solving your pain points? And hence this is very important, but one of the important secret of finding great leads, and one like silly channel some may say, but a very important channel is actually, if you're an entrepreneur and you have no idea about incubator, let's say you're coming from a town, most probably you would be interacting with a chartered accountant or an auditor or a grand uncle who sits under a banyan tree and gives advice in the village, right? So you need to almost prepare a tracker of, if I have to find these grassroots entrepreneurs who are very early because they're coming to an incubator, what do they see, what do they eat, where do they hang out, where do they go if they have need for support? One other greatly ignored channel is banks. Most of the entrepreneurs go to banks, but I still feel as a sector we are not looking at these things. We mostly, what happens is we end up sending out emails to each other asking us to promote. That's also good, but that's not enough, and hence we keep getting the same entrepreneurs. And also hence we also have the problem in the sector of entrepreneur shopping. Entrepreneurs just keep on going to different incubators because maybe for various reasons, but the same people are getting our announcements. You need to break free of those by doing sort of a 360-degree mapping of where the entrepreneurs are. That is called the entrepreneur point of view. And what's interface marketing is, wherever these people are, where these entrepreneurs are going, you advertise it there. So if they're going to a co-working space, advertise it there. If they're going to a lawyer who's helping companies register, can you advertise your product there as an incubator? So these are important, but at the same time, I would say look into the market trends as well. A lot of times there is, in your own city, you may have pockets, or what you call the clusters, right? For example, in Hyderabad, there are clusters of pharmaceuticals. And hence there is more likely that the healthcare startups are higher in Hyderabad, which is a fact anyways, because they do find immediate customers, and hence a lot of the startups themselves may have some experience or industry knowledge of healthcare. So you have to see in your area or your catchment areas outside, what are the market trends, where are the clusters based, hence where may potential entrepreneurs be coming from. So that's quick one. So this was the most important and heavy stuff, to be honest. Now these are very much details, and these are very much what we call as one second. Yeah, what we call as the tactical knowledge of entrepreneurship. So far what we discussed were like more of the strategic part, and I can go back to it after I end my presentation. I do want to give as much time possible for question answers and interactions, but what I'm laying down right now is just the fundamentals before you. um, the first topic on outreach is social media. Social media includes a lot of different apps and different platforms, and each of them has a different strategy. While I'm not myself a social media expert, but I do use it heavily, and we have had a great success. A lot of times people do not realize that social media is actually a lot more cost effective way in order to acquire your customers who are entrepreneurs. So when we say platforms and a lot of these tools, let me list down the platforms very quickly. Of course, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, but also YouTube, Pinterest, as well as other platforms which are not social media but digital platforms like Reddit, Threads. There used to be Quora, very active, unfortunately not much right now. But even Reddit, Threads, and sometimes even just other forums which are created by different passion groups, and yet have, for example, meetup groups have entrepreneurship specific clubs and groups. So that also you would count as platforms online to reach out. Now, all of these platforms have sort of an ROI expectation on how much you can spend, how much you should be spending, and what kind of results you should be looking at. In fact, I think I mentioned, I don't know, but Twitter, for example, a lot of, I know for sure, technology entrepreneurs do spend a lot of time on Twitter and Reddit. So for us, so there are two kinds of approaches. If you're just starting out your outreach activities, you're a new incubator, you need to get your first 100 entrepreneurs excited. And this is where you would go to these forums and cross advertise. Sorry, there is some noise. Yeah, so you would go and you would cross advertise here. You would also go to, for example, there is a Reddit topic on technology. You're a tech incubator, you may go there and actually participate in the forum and get value out of it by actually showcasing your model subtly. So this is what our rookie marketing techniques are called as, but that's very important and there's no shame in doing that. Of course, you practice a good amount of non-spammy behaviors in these forums, but you do get a lot of help. But once what you're planning at this stage and before you drive into social media or any of these tools is, imagine that you're creating an autonomous marketing engine. What it means is, since this is not your core operations and this is not what the core value your client gets, this is a supplementing a job or a task that you have to do always. And hence you are going to uh, create all these things that we are discussing today on an automation basis. And that leads me to the next point. There are infinite tools. Some of the tools that are easy, for example, when you talk about different platforms, even, and these are customizable, but still you want your sanity in reaching out to these different platforms. Two of them I listed my favorite, but there are many, are Buffer and Hootsuite. These days, Instagram is big. If you're looking at young entrepreneurs, you're looking at design entrepreneurs, or even e-commerce entrepreneurs, you will first find them on Instagram, including Reels as their wing. Now, there is even one more tool which is fully dedicated to Instagram marketing. It's called Later, Later. You may want to check that out on just scheduling and improving your Instagram marketing. Well, so there are many platforms. These are not something I'm recommending, but just saying that these are my favorite that I use. But you can check these out. Mashable will have a good curated content or a listing of these services as well. A lot of them do offer trial or free, but there is enough of very low cost alternatives. Usually many of these platforms have like $20 or $12 as the starting price that one can afford. Another important thing, while there are tools, while there is technology, before you plan or when you plan these events, you need to position yourself in coherence with what entrepreneurs really need, and hence look at keyword searches, trends, and hashtags which entrepreneurs are replying back to. Whenever there is an entrepreneurial event, there is a new set of keywords, trends, and hashtags thrown out into these platforms. If you're on it, you need to use them. Let's say there is a big acquisition happening and it's trending. As an incubator, you need to use those hashtags. You need to have a post relating to that. Now, also here, I would make it clear that if you are online, having no opinion is also having an opinion. You do not have a choice other than to engage. You cannot be neutral to the activities that affect your startups and your incubator happening over social media. So if there is a trend, there is, for example, an acquisition trending. There is certain sometimes even certain Zomato and many of these handles engage in certain friendly banters, certain casual chatter about using certain hashtag for fun. You may want to consider that as well. Remember, a lot of people come to social media not for knowledge but for entertainment. So how do you plan your own information in a way that it becomes sort of an infotainment? One of the my favorite ones are IDR, Indian Development Review. They have this amazing humor columns that come out on Instagram and have the best of the engagement. By the way, all these tools let you actually measure engagement of your posts and your activities, and you have to know that even YouTube comments, for example, if you're putting up content on YouTube, understand the comments, engage with the commentators, and then improve your next posts or videos. Remember, at this point, I would also say that it's very important for you to understand metadata. Every of not just understand but also have a proper metadata into your campaigns, because that's the only way people will be able to find you, even though they are like searching for similar other topics of interest or other handles. It's very important that you have. And again, I don't want to get into it, but a whole nother area is definitely Google ads and search engine optimizations and all of that. It could get technical, but one needs to explore all of these concepts, and hence your website itself needs to have such kind of metadata integrated in its backend. Definitely follow the engagement rules. There are a lot of trolls for sure. There are a lot of people who may be just wandering about and not really soliciting the real value, but questioning. Handle them well. That keeps happening. Once you're on social media, you cannot not expect a troll or people challenging your fundamentals, but that's fine. Social media collaborations, of course, with another, whenever such kind of events are happening, I don't know if these events themselves are being tweeted or wrote upon, but you need to look at that collaborations with other similar organizations. But when it comes to people, remember, there are certain brand gurus, marketing gurus, and investment gurus who are quite popular on Twitter, especially. Some of them are also very popular on Facebook and YouTube. Try to reach out to them and do a collaboration event or just a Twitter storm. These are called influencer marketing. I mean, this is just a surface. There is an entire science behind influencer marketing, and that's picking up these days. You may want to, especially if you're a new incubator, look into influencer marketing on how that can help your incubator to plan their activities. The other is conferences. Of course, a lot of them are right now online, but as we are going back to the past, we will have a lot of offline conferences as well. I would say a great start point is create your own calendar. It's not very difficult. It is, of course, a dynamic thing, but create your own calendar for you to understand where and when these conferences are happening. And a lot of us, I think, need to also learn that conferencing itself as an outreach is a skill in itself. Why? Because there are steps to do that, because there is best practices to do that as well. Define the objective. I would definitely say do not attend a conference without preparing for it. That wasting your time, and also a lot many people who may not understand why you're there. So what is your objective? And of course, we are here today talking about networking as an objective, right? Once that is there, then networking with whom? Are you going to a conference to find more donors, or are you going to conference or events to find more startups? These are very different things. Now, once that is there, you can understand and invest accordingly. So if it is investors and donors, you could invest in stalls or exhibition spaces. If it's startups, may not be, or maybe, depending on if there is enough footfall coming up there. Or if you're just saying, you know what, I'm just going to network with my sector specific events that are happening. And by the way, sector specific events do happen. I mean, I think Sustainable Urban Mobility Conference, right, I've just finished now. Every December it has a proper calendar, and people reach out to each other in that sector. Similarly, there are many other sector specific events that happen. In that, what happens is definitely reach out to the organizers and ask for listing of the delegates who have registered. Sort that out. Prepare your strategy in terms of prioritizing whom you want to meet. and send out those messages. A lot of times right now, people do use networking, uh, exclusive apps to network with the conference attendees. Use that well. For such kind of conferences, I love these two organizations in the sector. Some of you may be members already, but if not, I personally love these and always advise is AVPN, Asia Venture Philanthropy Network, and Andy, Aspen Network of Development Entrepreneurs. They do work with a lot of incubators. Reach out to them or reach out to me. I'll be happy to connect you to them. But they do a lot of such events, and it's sort of attending themselves trains you to do better at events. There are pre-networking tasks. You could actually reach out to people and ask them to have a coffee or a virtual meeting before or during the event. But always, maybe 24 hours before, at least try to reach out to the people that you want to meet at that conference. And definitely during the conference, appoint somebody. And usually these things are outsourced to interns, I know, but if it's possible, if you yourself as a CEO or as the incubator manager, if you're going there, try to yourself use the hashtag and piggyback on, because on the trend that the incubator or the event is using in order for you to gain better visibility. So definitely piggyback on that, and post the conference, please follow up. Again, good leads for us from investors and entrepreneurs, I would say, fall through, and I'd say 80% just because we do not follow up. There is always an initial interest. We fall short of following up on these leads. Always follow up on the leads. You'll